21% of body weight gone. That is what the newest generation of this drug can do, and it started as Venom from a desert lizard. Here's the full story. These are the drugs that started as a diabetes treatment, were partly inspired by lizard venom, and are now reshaping the entire landscape of modern medicine. This is the complete guide to GLP-1 receptor agonists, everything you need to know in one place. Let's start with the basics. GLP-1 stands for glucagon, like peptide 1. It's a hormone your body already makes. When you eat food, specialized cells in your intestine called L cells release GLP-1. That hormone does three important things. It slows down how quickly food leaves your stomach so your body has more time to absorb nutrients. It tells your pancreas to release more insulin, which lowers blood sugar. And it signals your brain, specifically the hypothalamus, that you're full. GLP-1 receptor agonist medications are synthetic versions of that hormone. They bind to the same receptors and trigger the same responses, but they're engineered to last much longer in your body than the natural version, which breaks down in just a couple of minutes. Now here's where the story gets genuinely wild. The very first GLP-1 drug traces back to a chunky, slow-moving lizard found in the deserts of the American Southwest. In 1992, Dr. John Eng at the VA Medical Center in the Bronx discovered a peptide called exendin-4 in the saliva of the Gila monster. This peptide looked a lot like human GLP-1, but was far more resistant to the enzymes that normally destroy it. Researchers copied it in the lab, made some chemical tweaks for human safety, and in April 2005, the FDA approved exenatide under the brand name Byetta. That was the first GLP-1 receptor agonist ever brought to market, and it was approved for type 2 diabetes, not weight loss. That's actually a common misconception worth clearing up. These drugs were never originally designed for weight loss. The significant drop in body weight the patients experienced was initially considered a side effect. It took years of additional research before regulators approved any GLP-1 specifically for weight management. Semaglutide, marketed as Wegovy, didn't get that approval until 2021, a full 16 years after the first GLP-1 hit the market. So how effective are these drugs? The clinical data is striking. In trials, semaglutide at the 2.4 milligram dose produced an average weight loss of 14.9% compared to just 2.4% with a placebo, and that weight loss held up over time. At 2 years, the semaglutide group maintained a 15.2% reduction. At 4 years, the average reduction was still 10.2%. Then came Tirzepatide, sold as Mounjaro for diabetes and Zepbound for weight loss. Tirzepatide is a dual agonist, meaning it targets both GLP-1 and another hormone called GIP. In clinical trials, the highest dose produced an average weight loss of about 21% of body weight, with 67 to 71% of participants losing at least 15%. That's a meaningful jump over semaglutide, and the pipeline keeps pushing further. The most exciting data in 2026 comes from retatrutide, Eli Lilly's triple agonist targeting GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors simultaneously. In the TRIUMPH-1 trial, participants on the highest dose lost an average of 28.3% of their body weight, roughly 70 pounds. The trajectory is clear: semaglutide near 15%, tirzepatide near 21%, retatrutide above 28%. Each generation pushes the ceiling higher. But weight loss is only part of the story. These drugs are showing remarkable cardiovascular and kidney benefits. GLP-1 receptor agonists have been shown to reduce myocardial infarction by 15%, heart failure by 15%, acute kidney failure by 9%, and serious adverse events overall by 9%. The landmark SELECT trial confirmed these benefits even in non-diabetic patients with obesity and established cardiovascular disease. And in March 2025, a trial showed Ozempic improved walking distance by 13% in adults with type 2 diabetes and peripheral artery disease. The American Diabetes Association's own journal put it bluntly, "In the field of diabetes research, the GLP-1 system may be the most important discovery since insulin." Now, no honest guide would skip the downsides. The most common side effects are gastrointestinal. Clinical data shows a 63% increase in gastrointestinal disorders like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea compared to placebo. There is also a 26% increase in gallbladder disorders. Less common but more serious risks include pancreatitis, gastroparesis, and a newer signal around a sudden optic nerve injury called NAION, which is now specifically labeled for semaglutide in Europe. Then there's the muscle loss question. Research suggests that as much as 40% of weight lost on GLP-1 medications can be lean muscle mass, which has led to the widely discussed phenomenon called Ozempic face, that gaunt, hollow look from rapid facial fat and muscle loss. However, newer research in 2026 has begun to ease those concerns, especially when exercise is combined with medication. As one Medscape commentary put it, "If that worries you, congratulations, you too have been indoctrinated into a manufactured controversy." Perhaps the most important practical concern is what happens when you stop. Within 1 year of discontinuing a GLP-1, 49% of patients were heavier than when they started. These are, for many people, long-term or even lifelong medications. Which brings us to cost. The list price of a brand name GLP-1 runs roughly $1,000 to $1,350 per month, but almost nobody actually pays that. With commercial insurance and manufacturer savings cards, Wegovy or Zepbound can come down to about $25 per fill. Without insurance, direct-to-consumer programs from Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly sell them for roughly $199 to $449 a month, depending on dose. Still, about half of GLP-1 users report these drugs are difficult to afford. That's why the Medicare development is so significant. Starting July 1st, 2026 through December 2027, eligible Medicare beneficiaries will be able to access Wegovy, Zepbound, and a newer drug called Foundayo for just $50 a month through the Medicare GLP-1 Bridge program. For millions of older Americans, that changes everything. Another major development in December 2025, the FDA approved an oral version of Wegovy, a once-daily semaglutide pill at 25 milligrams. In the Oasis 4 trial, participants on the highest dose lost an average of 13.6% of body weight at 64 weeks, with those who continued reaching 17%. For people who don't want weekly injections, this is a genuine alternative, and generics are finally arriving. The first ever generic GLP-1, a version of liraglutide, hit the market in late 2024. A generic version of Saxenda for weight management followed in August 2025. As patents expire and competition increases, prices should continue to come down. Let's zoom out for a moment. The global GLP-1 receptor agonist market was valued at $53.46 billion in 2024 and is projected to reach $156.71 billion by 2030. Novo Nordisk, the Danish company behind Ozempic and Wegovy, reached a market value of $570 billion as of mid-2024, making it worth more than the entire economy of Denmark. This class of drugs isn't just a medical story, it's an economic earthquake. So where does all of this leave us? GLP-1 receptor agonists have been studied in real-world populations for over 20 years. They've evolved from a niche diabetes treatment inspired by lizard venom into a class of drugs that treats obesity, protects the heart, shields the kidneys, and is rapidly becoming more accessible and affordable. The science behind them stretches back over a century to 1902, when William Bayliss and Ernest Starling discovered the very first hormone. These drugs are not magic. They come with real side effects, real costs, and real questions about long-term use. But the data is substantial, the trajectory is clear, and the next generation of compounds promises to push outcomes even further. Whether you're considering one of these medications, already taking one, or simply trying to understand what the fuss is about, the most important thing you can do is stay informed. And now you are. If this gave you a clearer picture of where GLP-1 medications came from and where they are headed, hit like so more people can find it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the science shaping modern health.